So normally I do dragon talks, but Vita came to me and said when we were talking about dragon eggs, that a whole bunch of dragon eggs came to me back in Europe when I was in Rome, and I created this little group, and people were talking about having eggs. So some people took some eggs, some people took all the eggs, and some of them have fledged, some haven't fledged, and we wanted someone to talk about, just really talk about the fledglings and how the process works. And Evita said to me, that's me, I'm going to do all that. I was like, whoa, come on then. And we were putting out lots of questions, and oh, beautiful pussycat, look at that.
Yeah, he's when I'm talking and when he wants to be involved. So
Yeah, it's probably a mini dragon. That's what I find. My cat's a mini dragon, I reckon.
Well, then share its name, because then it's just part of the conversation. Share its name, Robert.
this is Magic.
Magic. Oh, look at that. Oh, his
Yes.
eyes. Yes.
Magic the black cat.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And his brother, who's around here somewhere, his name is Shadow.
Also a
And then
black cat?
Also black, yeah.
Magic
cats.
shadow.
And then
Beautiful.
I
I love it.
Another cat. She's underneath the bed right now, and her name is Midnight.
I
So
love it.
together, they're Midnight Shadow Magic.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Just like standing there and like shouting for the cats, don't you? You can see that. Yes, so we're going to talk about what to expect when you're expecting. And this is the Dragon Edition
Yeah.
by Evita.
Yeah,
So
that's true. And let me first introduce myself a little bit.
please do.
Because, like I said, I live in the Netherlands and I am 36 years old. And my spiritual awakening, let's call it that. I'm not a big fan of that word, but I have no other way to currently describe it. But it happened in November of 22. And for me, it happened that I woke up in the middle of a yoga session to having 9 Asian chakra dragons. They were, one moment, I was just doing my exercises, and the other moment, poof, 9 Asian dragons were there. That was interesting, to say the least. That was quite, aha, and what do I do now? I had one doing laps around the room, and the other ones were just happy. Hey, we're here now. Okay, yeah. So I've only been working with energy, consciously working with energy, for 2 years. And it's been quite a journey. And for me, from the start, the dragons were there. Dragons have guided me from the moment I awoke to my gifts. And my gifts, they are, I can feel very clearly. I can see, hear, I know things. And I never specify to one. I just always leave it up to the energy that I'm working with, what comes through, how it comes through. Because how I view energies, whether it's a dragon, whether it's a god or a goddess, whether it's a power animal or a galactic, I just view them as a separate or independent personality. So I leave it up to them how they want to communicate with me. I have a set of rules of what I prefer and what I do not prefer. Those are the only guidelines I have, and then we're good to go. And that is something that is stimulated by the dragons, because my dragons, they are go-getters. They love to have fun. They love to throw me off the deep end, as in, here you go, you can swim or you can fly, just go ahead. And that took a bit to adjust to. But now I'm on board and we're having loads of fun. But like I said, my starting point was 9 dragons, and it's only been going upwards in numbers since then. In July of 23, I received my first dragon eggs, and I've hatched them. And I've been sharing in this past days some of the babies that I have, and you can see them all in my background. I've been sharing a little bit about their journey with me how I came to them, what they've been teaching me. And then Kevin came around with his group. And up until that point, I had never heard anyone else working with dragon babies and eggs. Kevin came around, and the moment he posted the images of the eggs, I had 5 that just jumped into my energy. And I was just checking with Kevin. Kevin, when are you gonna do the talks? He said, well, that's gonna be in September, so that's gonna be another 6 to 7 or 8 weeks. I was like, I already have 5 that want to join. He said, well, go ahead. You seem experienced. Just go ahead and do your thing. So, yeah. And they hatched for me at the end of November's 1st of December. And in the meantime, Jody, who I see is here today. Hi, Jody. You posted in the Dragon Egg group that you were in communication with your eggs and that one of them had told you she needed more time than the 100 days that Kevin had received would be the incubation period for the eggs. And I remember your post so clearly because that for me was the invitation to share a bit about my knowledge, about my experience that I have with my dragons. Because I had never been given a time period, what would be the hatching time, regular hatching time for dragon eggs. So I had never thought about it that way. And in your post, you were so honest about how you were feeling. And I sensed that you were maybe a bit scared. Am I doing it correctly? That for me really was the invitation. And in human design, I'm a projector. So my energy needs to be invited. That's also why I love interacting with people. So if you have questions, just unmute and let me know. Because that's for me the best way to work. But because of Jody's post, I could share a bit of my knowledge. And then I reached out to Kevin and I said, let's just see if people want to talk about it. Because I can imagine that it's not something that you talk about with your neighbors, family, possible friends. Mine are already used to all my weirdness because weird has been my normal. The moment dragons arrived, weird has been my normal. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And before I go further on this, I would like to refer to 2 or 3 questions that we've gotten that are about dragon eggs. Because someone had asked, how many eggs does a dragon lay? And I had also seen the question, and might be not paraphrasing correctly, if there's a difference between the amount of eggs a galactic dragon lays or an elemental dragon. And in all honesty, the type of channel that I am is not someone who gets all the facts. I know because Kevin writes the books, he gets the facts. As in this date, that amount, this number. I'm not that type of channel, so I can only share what I have experienced, what I have seen. To me, there is no difference between the galactic dragons, the elemental dragons, as in how many eggs they lay, or how big their nests are, or how they create the eggs. In my energy field, I have a group of golden dragons, and one of them had a nest of 5 eggs. They've hatched, and from those eggs, a rainbow dragon appeared. There was a golden dragon, and other colors as well. From that, I can only state that a certain type of dragon doesn't lay only a certain type of energy. I think, from what I've seen, that it might vary. The biggest nest I've seen had 5 eggs in them. My personal experience with the biggest amount of, or the size amount of eggs, for me it has been 3. I've had 3 at a time hatching. That is apart from the ones that Kevin made available to us all. Because from those, I had 5 jumping into my energy, and they all hatched between the 29th of November and the 1st of December. So that's the information I have on that. I don't get that much more on that, because the dragons that I have, they really want to communicate and interact and really learn from me and I from them. So that's more the message and the space that I'd like to create and the conversations that I'd like to have. I can see Jody. Kevin, can you help me out here? Because you can see the comments, right?
I can indeed. It says, that's cool. My first 3 hatch days before my last one, and they were there to help hatch her. It was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I noticed that the dragons all help each other, and as I said, for myself, like a master dragon came in and assisted, and the dragon that I came to me over a year ago, she's a year old now. She's assisting with all the dragons that have hatched for me. So they're very good at helping, that's for sure.
Yeah, from what I've experienced, mine, because I started out with the adults and then the younger ones added.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I'm up to, oh, I did my numbers this morning. 28. 28 babies have hatched within my energy. Not all of them are raised by me, but they've used my energy field to hatch, to come into this world, to bring their energy here. And I have indeed called in others to assist with that. They are welcome in my energy. They don't have to interact with me. If they want to, happy, that's fine, because I like to think of my personal dragons as one big happy family. Don't get me wrong, they can disagree vehemently with each other, but like brothers and sisters. In that sense, they can bicker, they can argue, and they make up just as quickly. So that is the energy that I want to have in my field. That is one of the rules that I have. And others, they can be here, they can stay, they can interact, or they can choose not to interact. That is absolutely fine. But 18 of those I'm raising myself. And it's very interesting, but mostly because it has taught me, what am I learning from them, because why are they here? Kevin was able to give a small description with the eggs that he had, what their primary energy would be. And I can see them applying it in my personal growth journey, in my personal ascension, in my personal growing of my consciousness. And I really try to look at it as in, what can I learn from them? But also, they've chosen my energy specifically for a reason as well. So what am I giving them? Because if they are being born in my energy, I share custody, of course, but I am a parent to them. And what do I, in their could be their first life as a dragon, could be already multiple lives as dragons. But what can I give them as well? Because I don't know how long they will stay with me. Could be a year, could be 10 years, could be 3 months. But in that time that they are with me, what do I want to give them? Because just for the fact that they are being born within my energy, they expand my energy, my consciousness already so much. And this is where I truly think I have my strengths. And then I would like to come back to the family sense that I have, because what I've been receiving in impressions, in songs, in knowledges, in things that I was able to see, is that there is a lot of dragon energy here on Earth. But some of it is still dormant, others are still coming in, whether it's through portals, whether it's through eggs, whatnot. But it is a bit scattered sometimes. And the dragons, they want to, not just, they don't only want us to connect, share information, and know that we are not alone. Because with what Kevin has started here, for me, it has helped a lot. But that's me, my human mind likes the comfort of not being alone. The dragons also want to connect. I have a couple of them with me that are ancient, and I have the tiniest, newest babies with the newest energies. I have them work together. I pair them up, I match them, and they learn from each other. And from that, I get to learn. And I get to spread that knowledge with the people around me. And I've been given the opportunity to create an energetic space that is just for dragons. So it's not for us, it is just for dragons to convene in, to meet up with each other, to share, to play, to exchange energy, to exchange knowledge. And I would really like you to check in with yourself and your dragons if they, at this time, would like to get that invitation to go to that place. Because what I've did is this morning, I've created the energetic safe haven, space, dimension. Use whichever word works for you. And I've been given a song that I am able to play to basically have it used as a roadmap. Because again, it is not for you or for me, because I don't even know the location of what I've created, where it is. My mind is not allowed in. However, my dragons, it is for them. And for yours if you want to, and also for the people that are gonna look at this in the replay, or who might find this in a year, 2 years, 3 years. There is this energetic space that your dragons can go to just be, to socialize. Because in the last 2 years, I've met up with other people that have dragons. We're not aware of them, but the dragons came to me, and some of them were really lonely and unsocialized and didn't even know what it was or what it meant to be a dragon because they've been so isolated. And what has happened for me is that I've met dragons that didn't know they were a dragon, didn't know how to act. But I've also met young dragons, teenagers, that kind of vibe I got from them. So they have a really big body, but then their mind and their socializing skills are underdeveloped. And they thought that they could pick a fight with me, basically. That was the wrong move for them. Because my dragons were, that is not going to happen. We're gonna teach you how to be a dragon and how to behave in a courteous way. Because if you want humans, because we are working here together, if you want us to work together, you cannot growl and bite straight out of the gate. That is just not working. So if you guys are up to it, I would really love to play the song that I got channeled through this morning. And you guys, you don't have to do anything with it. You can just hear it. It's 3 minutes. Just listen to it and your dragons will know the way. They will be shown the way to the energetic space. They will come back to you. They will, because it's not a prison. Let me state that very clearly. It is not a prison. It is just a space for them. They will come back to you, and it's been warded as well, so no negative energy can come in. I work together with gods, goddesses, angels, power animals, galactics. I work with the whole range. I've had everybody add only their strongest bit of light to it. No, this space is for all dragons, not just the ones that have hatched, but all dragons. So it could be that there are, because I've been working with it throughout the day, it could be that it's already filled with dragons that are not necessarily attached as a guide to people. But I've just spread out the word and for them to meet up there. Did that answer your question? I'm assuming it did. If not, let me know.
That was a thumbs up. I saw the thumbs up.
Great, thank you so much. Then I'll just share my screen and start the song. It starts off quite softly, because at the start I was having a conversation with one of my dragons who thought it was necessary to butt in. It was enthusiastically, he wanted to help, so that's why he was butting in. So yeah, and what I will also do is I will check in with Kevin later tonight or tomorrow how we can share this song, because this is not copyrighted, it is free to use for everyone. It will be on my website, free to download as well. And maybe, Kevin, we can find another way to distribute it as well. Great. Then let's share my screen.
You little cheeky monkeys. You already know how to get there. You already know how to get there. Let's just do it then. Spread your wings and fly. Feel the wind beneath. Rise up to the sky and take this leap. Yeah, Sikamanaya 𝙭𝙭𝙥𝙚𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙚 Kirawe mane Sweoe masawie Iawe sahihai Siyama Kiruwe so siyahe Kuyamasai Kuhai Siyama hiai Kueramai Siyamani hemahe.
Oh, this is really funny. The song was supposed to last another minute, but my computer just closed it down. So it must have done its work already.
That was beautiful. I could feel my inner dragon wanting to go. It was like, I'm going now. Let me go. It was like, okay, I'll take. That was
Well, it is
gorgeous.
invited to do so.
Mm.
One of my dragons has her nose right up to the screen. She's very intent on this.
Aw, that's so nice to hear. this was a surprise to me. Up until this morning, I did not know that I was going to do this. I've been playing with the idea for a bit, but I didn't consciously know how to do it. And then this morning it just came out. So it was apparently time. And this is my gift to the dragons. This is my gift to them. And what I want for them, whether, like I said, whether they're just the tiniest, cutest babies or the oldest dragon we can all imagine. I would really like it for them to feel like a second home. Feel like a second home, to be surrounded again by their own kind, like they used to live on the dragon planet. And just create, because that is what they are in their essence, ultimate creators. And to get back to the baby dragons and how to raise them and what you can expect. What I've learned, what helps really well, is to take good care of yourself, because your energy is their main source of nutrition, if you look at it like that. Your personal energy. So my advice would be really not only connect to your dragon and see if you can get the answer from them themselves. What is it that they need? But if you can't get a clear answer on that, then my first advice would be take care of your own energy. What is it that you need to feel good, to experience the high frequencies and high vibrations? So for me, that would be grounding outside. I love to go for a walk. I love to go for a walk. And when I do that, I give my dragons free hand. Go out and play. Go out and play. Don't chase the dogs that I visit that I see on my walk. Don't chase them. But go out and play and experience. I have a couple of elemental dragons, like the green one you can see over here. That is Cedric. And Cedric really is an earth dragon. Earth dragon who works with seeds. He really is a nourisher. So for him, it is extremely nourishing as well if I go outside and if I eat healthy as well. That is something that helps his energy. And then I have my fire-related dragons. They like warmth, so I go to the sauna, which helps my physical body as well. So it not only nourishes them, it helps my physical body as well. And then I have little Comet over here. And Comet is the name already says it. He really is a dragon that comes from, not from Earth. Definitely not from Earth. I don't know where he came from exactly, but he comes from out of space. So for him, it is very important that I connect to galactic energies. He was born a month before the Dragon Comet came to pass Earth in October. And for him, it was the best thing ever that I was aware of it and consciously connected to the dragons in that comet, in those comets that were coming down or passing us. And I've been able to connect with them at that point. But once I've connected to them, I can easily just retrace my steps and go back there to make sure that Comet gets his energy as well. What helps him grow. And those dragons that were in those comets that were passing, they've also told me, call on us if you need anything. So that is something that I do. I check as well as I can with every little hatchling that comes up in my energy, but also the adults, because they need their nourishment as well. But what I've really experienced is that if I take care of my physical body, of my mental state, so really trying to release things that no longer serve me, release limiting beliefs, release traumatic responses, and really own my truth, whether I like it or not. That is a way to really work with my mental energy and keep it healthy. And the same goes for emotions. I am an empath and a highly sensitive person. Up until 3 years ago, I was not aware of this, and I could be stuck in a emotion for weeks or months without realizing. So my first step really was learning to work with my emotions, identifying my emotions, learning my triggers, and now letting that energy, because that is what emotions are, it's just energy in motion, letting it move through me. If I need to cry, I need to cry. If I am laughing my butt off, then that is what I'm doing. And the laughing, that is what my dragons love the most. The crying at times is necessary to release low vibrations and lower frequencies, but it's the laughing that they always try, they work with me to get me there, because it is a state of being that they enjoy. Because the three highest, as what I've found in the last 2 years, the three highest vibrations are gratitude, unconditional love, and joy. So I've made it my mission that even if I'm emotionally or mentally in a lower state, to reach out to one of these three vibrations. And for me, gratitude then is the easiest to get it going, to start with. And then they work with me to get me to the joy, and then to feel the unconditional love. And then that means that my mood can just switch like that. And it is something that helps them as well. Because if I'm only down, they will do everything in their power to help me. So they will lower their own frequency to reach me. So the higher I'm able to keep myself, the more playroom they have as well. So that if we're looking at what nourishes a dragon, whether it's an adult or a youngster, that would be my primary advice. And it basically means get in touch with yourself and reach out to your dragons. Whichever way works for you. Could be that you're into automatic writing, or that music really is your thing. Play around with it. Play around, try different things, and see what works for you. And then they will tap into that. Kevin, did we have any questions? Because I see a couple of comments popping up in my screen, but I'm not fast enough with reading them.
That's all right. Jody says, do you name your dragons or do they give you their names? I still haven't been given names and just now thought maybe that's my job.
Good question. Good question. They give their names to me. With my first dragons, my 9 chakra dragons, it took ages before I got a name. So it took me maybe up to a year that I was just referring to their colors because I had no other way of referring to them. And then slowly, the more I opened myself up to connecting with them, to working with them, because at first I was quite apprehensive and overwhelmed, so I also didn't really know how. But the moment I started to relax in that, the connection with them became easier. And they started giving me their names. With the ones that hatched from Kevin's batch, so the latest hatched on the 1st of December, for 2 of them I have not had a name yet. And we've been playing around a bit. So for now they have a work name, but 2 of them, they are not happy with it. So, and I was like, okay, that's absolutely fine, but then it's up to you to provide me your name. Otherwise, this is the one that you're being assigned to right now to make it easier for me. But that is only because I have 18 of them and I need to be able to differentiate between them. If you, for instance, have 2, 3, or 5, it might be easier to just refer to their color or sound. Because I can imagine that if you're more audio oriented, that you might have a specific tone for them. And even if you are more flavor oriented or scent oriented, you could have a different scent or flavor for them. For me, I got to see them, so that's why I refer to them by color. But this is really where I would suggest to have fun with your gifts as well and the connection that you're building with them, and try it out. And the names that I've been given by them, because I know there's a lot of communication about that as well. People have different ideas. I know that the names that I have for them are not their dragon names. In dragon light language, it's not their dragon name. But the names that I've been given are names for me that I can either pronounce and work with or understand. What it also does, because I've researched every name, is that's what they've chosen to do with me, is they give me a name that lets me know what type of energy they already bring with them or how they might help me. Because if I use Sandor, this one over here, Sandor really literally means, if you look it up, protector of man. And this baby dragon showed up in my energy as I was doing my evening cleansing ritual to make sure that I was only purely alone in my own energy. And I could see or feel I had a couple of holes in my energy field. And there was this little dragon trying to patch them up and using energy to repair it. And when I Googled his name, because with him I immediately got Sandor, it was protector of men. And I was like, oh, that really seems like what I was experiencing from his behavior. I have a friend of mine who is a dragon guardian, and he gets completely different names than I do. I can't pronounce them. So I really also believe it depends on what are you able to receive and how are you able to work with them, which names they give you. Does that answer your question? And Kevin, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, there was one from earlier, said from I think it's Chara, how you say her name. She said, how do you see your dragons with your physical eyes? I only see them with clairvoyance.
That's a good question as well. With me, this is one of my gifts that is evolving right now. I'm starting to see only slivers with my physical eyes. Otherwise, I usually always see them with my third eye. And that can be in completely different realms that I see them with my third eye, but it can also be in my living room. So it is a gift of mine that is evolving. And I really think that this is one of the reasons why Comet is with me. Because Comet I think he's extremely clairvoyant and can see the world in such an energetic way that I'm personally, I think I would be overwhelmed if I saw it through his eyes. But I can imagine that my gifts are evolving, so I might be able one day to see it differently. Are there any other questions so far? Because I know, Kevin, you'd sent me an amazing list as well.
I asked loads of questions, but that's me. If anyone else has got any questions they want to unmute themselves or type it in, please do. Robert says, do you feel your dragons reawaken past life knowledge that is embedded in our DNA? Ooh, good question.
For me personally, yes. Yes. I know that in past lifetimes, in my very first lifetime, I was a dragon. I know that. I've seen flashes of that. And one of my babies that is currently with me has reincarnated multiple lifetimes with me. And the moment he entered my energy, that he was born, I got additional flashbacks to previous lifetimes where he was with me. And I've had it with others as well.
I find, Evita, that when we talk about hatching eggs, from my perspective,
Yes.
I like to think of those eggs as ideas. You are able to receive energy,
Yeah.
either elemental or galactic, that allows you to bring forth new ideas, new ways of thinking, deprogramming, because we're all programmed in our lives. And the whole part of a spiritual reawakening, that no matter what spiritual path you follow,
Yes.
it's about deprogramming yourself in order to bring yourself back to a place of balance. If you have a timeline, and like I've always told my student, there's black and there's white, and there's a million shades of gray in between. That's where you want to be. It doesn't matter. It's a sliding scale. Correct and incorrect. What is correct for me might not be correct for you, but that doesn't make it wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So I also feel that when we speak about hatching dragon eggs, we're bringing in new ways of thinking, new ways of being, new ways of interacting, new ways of bringing balance into our lives with the help of these spiritual beings, presences that we relate to. And I also do feel that in our lifetime, we are on a learning journey to relearn what we have learned in a past life.
To relearn or to remember?
Well, that's a good question. That's a very good argument here. Relearn, remember. If you have to remember something in the past, are you relearning a new lesson with new concepts, new outcomes, because you are now someone that has grown emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, so you can add in new correspondences. So are you you may remember something, but you're also relearning it because you're absorbing it in a different time
Yes.
because you have to relate. I feel very close to the Dark Ages.
Okay.
So I firmly feel that I was here in the Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we were all here during the birth of civilization, Sumerian, Babylonian, Egyptian culture. I believe we were all here. That was literally the period of the birthplace of civilization. I also think that we were all here during the Dark Ages.
Okay.
It gives us that balance of life and death, black and white. We
We might go a little bit off topic. I have a question of you because I think
okay.
maybe at one point you and I need to have a chat because
Okay, that sounds
that
great.
is what because I would love this because I love your way of thinking. But I do think that I think we're remembering things, and then we have in this lifetime that we've chosen with our own sets of components of our own sets of lessons that we wanted to learn this lifetime, challenges, social aspects,
Sure.
that we're remembering something and then we take that as our starting point and grow further
Right.
or
It's
to
a process of
learn a new
assimilation.
perspective.
Yeah, it's a process of adapting and assimilating into where we are presently in our timeline.
And what we currently are capable of or want to grow to. And it could
Correct.
also be that we've beforehand, before coming here, stated we want to grow to this point at this point in time and then take it somewhere else again.
Yes.
I completely, where I'm a bit off is that personally I don't feel connected to the Dark Ages. But if we take this argument broader, I do feel that as a soul, I'm speaking only about my own soul and my own experiences. I know I have chosen lifetimes, whether on Earth or on different planets or different universes, where I've chosen hard times, easier times, enlightened times, dark times. So I do not feel personally connected to the Dark Ages here on Earth. But I do know that I've been in very dark times, similar circumstances as you can imagine with the Dark Ages,
Okay.
on
Those are your
different
dark ages.
locations.
Yeah, those are your dark ages.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
those
to
are your
take the concept broader than just
Sure. Right.
yeah.
Right. Don't think of it as medieval.
Okay. Yeah.
We all have those dark ages. Yeah, no, we're speaking the
Yes.
same language.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. At least I know for myself, with what I've remembered, with what I've seen, with what I've felt, I know I have. And in these past 2 years, I've gotten to the point where I get to rediscover myself and relearn and remember and also really learn what type of character I have. Some things that I do, that I say, that I am are just on a soul level me. That is something that I will usually always have with me. And yes, I really enjoy viewing and learning situations on the entire spectrum, from white to black and every other color and frequency in between. So yes, I completely understand. I've done that. I know that for a fact. And for me, where dragons then come in this lifetime, I know that I have chosen to really be a bridge to bring in higher frequencies. Really bring in higher frequencies and anchor in unconditional love. And with every hatching birth that comes into my energy field, I get to experience that growth within myself to expand. And the more I personally expand, the more I anchor it in here on Earth. So the more we can all benefit from it. So I love the fact that I have so many different ones. And some, like I said, are here for a lifetime. Others are here for just a short period of time. But I personally always receive what I need. And these are the ones, for instance, that also let me create images of them. Let me, through this, share their energy with people all over the world. Whoever views it in the group or on my social media sees it, feels something. And then they don't even have to have their own personal dragons, but they still get a bit of that energy.
Energy is there's a wide range to all of our, levels of energy. And one thing that the dragons that I, speak to have taught me in my lifetime is, if you want to punch the wall, punch it. You may break your hand. Then you're going to have to fix the wall. But are you going to deny yourself that expression of energy? You have to face the consequences. But is it right, or is it correct or incorrect to deny yourself the energy that you may be given? That's a question. That's where morality comes in. That's where ethics comes in.
Beliefs, social systems,
yes, exactly.
programming.
Exactly.
And I'm completely there with you that for me, dragons, in a positive way, and I might use the wrong word in English, challenge me, push me to really explore that within myself. And also own up to it. Because honesty, for my dragons, for my guides, being that honest, owning my truth, whichever truth it is. So it's not about right or wrong, but for me, owning up to it, really allowing it to be there without judgment. That is really the state where they stimulate me to go. And they do that in their own ways and in their own expressions. And some give it colors, others give it names. But that is what I experience them doing for me. And then because I do choose to see them as their own individual characters, I see them as a whole, the energy they present, we're all interconnected. I see it as a whole, but we all give our own flavor to it, our own speciality, that piece of our soul that is uniquely ours. And right now I choose to use the word character. And I love having all these different characters with me because they all bring out something differently in me.
Right.
They teach me just slightly different things in their own unique ways, which make me, if I choose to do so, diverse. And being able to handle multiple things. And that is also what I choose to do with raising them. So I make choices in what I want with my energy, how I allow it to be there. I try to hold myself accountable for goals that I have set. If I want to eat healthier, I should do so. Today I did my grocery shopping, and yes, I did visit the cooling section where they have those lovely pints of Ben & Jerry's. Oh,
Haagen-Dazs.
oh, yeah, that's also a good one. And I love that. I absolutely enjoy that. But with my physical form that I currently have, I do feel, and I've been getting the message, Evita, you need to make a change. You need to make a change, which means that some things currently are not the best to eat or drink. This really, when I was doing my grocery, I was standing there and I was like, yes, looks amazing. But I choose not to do it. I choose in this moment not to do it. Because it is healthier for me. And as I made that choice and I walked out of the store, I had my own whole squad of cheerleaders like going, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's an energy exchange, and that is how I hold myself accountable, and they are backing me up in that. And that's how I choose to work with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and that, yeah, I can talk hours on hours about dragons. I can, because I love it. Absolutely love it. And nothing is too weird for me. So if anyone else has a question or a situation that they want to share about, to see if any one of us has a different perspective to offer on it, to help you move with it, please speak or ask the question. Because Kevin, do we have any other questions in the comments?
Nothing in the comments currently. Don't be afraid, people. Tap into those weird questions, because nothing is ever actually weird and no question is actually silly, because someone else is sitting there, oh, I wish somebody would ask that question.
And just think of it, there's a lot of people in the world who would think that the group of us are weird. So,
Exactly.
you know, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Be who you are.
Well said, that man. Well said.
There is a dragon king and queen. Queen Alba, who is a pure white as snow dragon. And it is said that her crown shimmers like diamonds, and her brightness is blinding because of her light. And there is King 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙚, who is more earthbound. Queen Alba is much more celestial. King 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙚 is an earth dragon who is the father of all trees on our planet. And his branches that reach out all over our celestial body bring life, bring oxygen, vegetation, food. And I think that the balance between the two of them is a balance of celestial, earthbound. And when we astral project, we travel through portals that we enter, and we all have the ability to do that. Everyone has the ability to astral project. Does everyone understand what I mean by astral projection? Yes? Paul, I see a thumbs up. That's the ability to release your spirit and travel into another realm. Leave your vessel and travel through another dimension. And some people call it meditation, but it's truly an astral experience. a lot of people are fearful of leaving the earthbound vessel, the organic matter. But when we dream, that's really what we're doing. We're astral projecting. Our spirit leaves our vessel and goes into a realm in which we truly may not belong, but we experience something that we may or may not bring back with us. When we remember our astral travels, we bring back something that we have learned from it. If we don't remember the dream, then that's fine. There was nothing to be learned. I think that our
Was there nothing to be learned, or does our conscious mind doesn't need to know?
Yes. Yeah. It's both. It could be both.
Because it could still be that we've learned something, but that it's incubated within our energy and comes up when the time to actually act on it, or to do something with it, or to be aware of it. That then
Or is it something that we already know?
probably, yeah. I love this type of discussions.
Is it something we already know?
Probably.
Nothing new to be learned here.
So then it's still then we come back to remembering. Then it's not learning, but then it's remembering.
It's already embedded.
Yeah.
It's already embedded. Okay, I entered a doorway. Oh, I've been here before. I've already, thank you. I'm seeking new knowledge.
But then again, let me ask you all this. Because we are here talking about dragons and our spiritual, energetic, astral experiences that we have. Does any of you have the feeling that the dragon spirit or guide that they currently interact with the most, let's put it like that you've known them before, or that you know them before, that they've been with you before? Does any one of you have that experience then?
They're our ancestors.
One of my chakra dragons, my Earth Star dragon, who is black as midnight as your cat. I know for a fact, because he's shown me, that in a different lifetime, he used to be my father. And I can only imagine we've shared in different roles, in different situations, we've shared more lifetimes together. Icarus, one of the hatchlings that came first in my trio of eggs, I know he's been with me in different lifetimes. I remember him in the same color as a dragon. So that's my experience. I've known them. Some of them I've known before. Others feel more new. That it's possibly their first lifetime as a dragon, or their first lifetime in that form with me. But does any one of you have the feeling that the dragon they work with or communicate with the most at the moment, that you've known them before, in whatever form, shape, way?
Well, they become friends, that's for sure.
I, for instance, know that because I view my team of guides as a team. So there's one that tries to lead, with the emphasis on tries to lead it in a somewhat normal fashion. But he used to be my brother in a different lifetime. He's not a dragon. My main guide is not a dragon. I'm not sure which galactic origin he is, or I used to be in that lifetime, but he is my brother, and we bicker like brother and sister if need be.
But you are.
Yeah, we are. But
You are.
it also is that with raising the youngsters that are in my energy, the dragons, the hatchlings, I don't only do it myself or my other dragon guides. I use all the guides that I have within my team, all the energies that are here to support me, that only do it for my highest good, because that is the boundary that I do set, that I only invite in light and positivity. They get babysitting duties. They absolutely get babysitting duties. When I was in Egypt, I had Horus sitting on one side and Isis on the other one. They all had 3 dragons. Here you go. Have fun with them. Right now, they are your responsibility. Teach them what you want them to know, what you think is important. And my main guide, Nico, my brother from a different life, yeah, he is babysitter numero uno. They all love him because he's the fun uncle.
Mm-hmm.
But he is babysitter number 1. So that is also something that I still want to share with you, is that even though you had a dragon egg and it's a dragon hatchling, it doesn't only need to be fed or raised with dragons. There is so much more out there that wants to help and can help. And I personally have chosen to give them a well-rounded education. So every energy that wants to help, there you go. You're a babysitter now. Have fun. And for me, that does not matter whether it's a dragon, whether it's a god or a goddess, or a deity, whether it's an angel. Michael also really gets babysitting duties. He can stow his sword away for the moment and he can babysit a couple of dragons. And I'm personally a big fan of it because it gives them so much more to work with. So if you have not already called in a mature dragon or an adult dragon to help you with raising or managing your dragon horde, if you feel more connected to angels or spirit animals or other galactics, and they are there, ask them for help. Reach out to them. Because I bet you they are really welcome and willing to help. But some need to receive that invitation from you.
I like to think of it this way. It's bad manners to show up at somebody's party or wedding or event if you don't have an invitation.
Yeah.
Bring our human ethics and morals into that world. If you're going to invite someone to your gathering, know something about them. Are they going to fit in? Are they going to be for the good of all? Are they going to disrupt? Are they going to mingle cohesively with your other guests? So if you invite a dragon into your life and you send out the invitation, well, okay, there might be a learning curve. No one becomes instant friends. You get to know them. You exchange ideas. You receive and give out energy.
Yep.
And if that energy has a connection, if that energy feels good, you know that you're developing a friendship. And you need to develop a friendship with your dragons.
Yep.
because they will be there. Good friends are with you in good times, and they are also with you in times of need. Allow
Absolutely.
yourself that experience.
Dragons are one of the few. Paul, can I have one moment? Dragons are one of the few that easily move through frequencies and dimensions.
Mhm.
Easily. Angels have a harder time with it. Spirit power animals cannot possibly always reach that high, but dragons have a really broad range. Remember that in a moment when the times are not as good, as Robert just said, because they will be there. If you give them that invitation, they will come down and they will really help you bring back up. That is something which is uniquely dragon. Often people forget or they don't know, but that is definitely something they can and will and are so willing to help you with. And also, indeed, if you invite someone to the party, there is a learning curve, there is introductionary time, you need to get to know one another. But there's one thing that I also think is very important for anyone to remember. Here on Earth, in this lifetime, we have free choice. We have free choice, and that brings a certain power with it. And I personally experience it as very empowering that I have the choice. I might not always like the choices that I can see or that I can feel that are possible, but I have the choice. And even if I've invited an energy in and it turns out not to match in a way that I had imagined or I had wanted, I also have that power of choice to tell it, ask it, firstly, otherwise tell it, to go away again. Or to adjust certain behaviors. We are not just here to, we are here to receive, but not just here to receive and then without any direction, just go in with what the energies you've invited, guides, however you want to call them, that are with you, to just let them decide. You are here living this life. You've chosen, this is how I view it, I've chosen to live this life. I've chosen to live this life. It is for me to take the wheel and to lead it and to make the choices that I feel with the knowledge that I have, with the wishes and the wants that I have. Make the choices that feel right for me and own my choices. I've had one dragon that popped into my energy, which first was of service, which what really helped me. And then it got really dominant. It wanted to exert he had a certain view of how things should go, and that is how I should do it. And I was not on board with that. I communicated with this dragon, hey, this is not how I work, this is not what I want. Please adjust. Otherwise, I'm asking you to leave. He didn't adjust. And when I asked him to leave, he didn't want to, so I kicked him out. But that's a choice that I made. And that comes with then also keeping boundaries. So that is one addition that I really wanted to give here, is that yes, you can invite. An invitation is so, as a projector, I know an invitation is so crucial for energy to flow. But also know that it's your life. You've chosen this. have freedom of choice. I've met guides that don't remember ever having that. And in this lifetime here on Earth, we have that choice. So work with that. Paul, please.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your sharing more of that. That gave me some more things I'd like to comment on too. Robert, you made a very good point about the invitation. The other thing I've done when I've journeyed and I've explored and looked for dragon as well as other spirit guides, one of the first things I learned is permission. You talk with them first. For example, Robert, your example of an invitation. I want to invite a dragon. My first thing is, may I have your permission to speak with you? Right away, you know their manners and if there's a connection with you. And some of them have very politely said, I'm not interested. But you see that little shy dragon down the trail? Go ask her. The other thing, too, is power. Evita, I'm going to agree with you what you said before. I've talked with other dragons, not just my guides. And I asked, well, even the dragon master, oh, how powerful are dragons? And I was told very directly, these are the most powerful spirits in the universe. Now, there's, of course, a range in power, but they're the heavy guns. They're the heavy hitters. The other thing, too,
I've been told that as well. I've been told that as well. They easily can take on archangels and win.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm of a pacifist, non-combative type. I'm going to take that as the wrong type of archangels. On an aside, I was in a journey where I was in a position where I had to attack, and I took an alternate strategic route. We won't go into that one. But the other thing, too, is protection. When I go on to my journeys, I have protective symbols and protective artifacts that I wear or have with me. And I've even had my guides come to my defense. Quite often, I come across a spirit that is, the others have said, you don't want to go in that direction. So if you listen to your existing guides as well, you can avoid some of the more obnoxious ones. Does it always work? No. And my dragons have also told me, yes, I'm a very powerful dragon, but I'm learning too. And I'm going to make mistakes, and you've got to be able to let me acknowledge that and accept that, and we can continue from there. So I've been establishing friendships. This sounds like a pretty much of a typical type of friendship. You grow with each other. So, but you're right. Some of them can be a little bit. There are some that I've talked with and said, no, this is just, you're very nice, but. So I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you share is I concur with you on that as well. I've had many different experiences. And I was going to comment on something, one of the last things that you said. Could you possibly repeat it for me? Because I've lost my train of thought, but I wanted to add something to it.
Okay, what I talked about is protection.
Yep, that was the one.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, protection. And you mentioned that your guides or the dragons or the energies that you work with are also learning. And that is something, when I meet new people and they are just starting out, they sometimes have the attitude as in my guide knows everything. And if I just listen to them, everything will be all right. I've learned that they are learning as well. They might have chosen to be your guide, your guardian through this lifetime, but it doesn't mean that they have experience with it. And depending on in what situations you find yourself, it can be completely new to them as well. So yes, they are learning, and I've found that it's very important to give yourself, but also them, that grace and that non-judgment to grow and to learn. And sometimes you just need to have an evaluation with each other, like, what did we do? Was that the smart way? How could we have done that differently? Do we want that? So it's really, reflection is one of the strongest tools that I use on myself with my guides as well. And then the other subject that you mentioned, protection. Yes, dragons are the strongest protectors out there. They are. But even they are not invincible. And I also use different tools. There are crystals that you can use. There are symbols that you can use. Light language can be very helpful. Personally, I also am a fan of the violet flame because it clears my energy field at the same time and helps me fill up any gaps or holes that might be in there with higher frequencies, energy that might be more nourishing to me. And for those that are not that used to working with the violet flame, there are also different colors of flame. I don't know all their names, I just get a color. When I start using with the flames, I often just get a color as in, hey, I want to be here. Okay, as long as it's for my highest good and has pure intentions, then I'm good with that. But that is definitely something that can help. And for me, the other thing that works best is make sure that I'm grounded. I know my soul is not from here. I've had a difficult time grounding, earthing here on earth. But taking the time to, I don't have a set ritual. I know some people say you need to have a set ritual. That does not work for me. I like to do what feels good to me in the moment, but be conscious of it. Make a conscious effort to ground, whichever means that works for you. Go on a walk, walk barefoot, garden, drink water, whatever works for you. But that is one of the strongest tools I've found for me. So if any of you have any other suggestions, I'm all ears. It's always nice to fill out my toolbox.
Rituals. Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
I also find sometimes I take it to a group. I have a few dragon councils where I go and visit a collective. I say, you know, I've got this big problem. I don't know how to deal with it. And they bandy back among themselves some ideas. So there's a combination of experiences, not just one guide. And I find that to be a benefit too.
Well, that is actually one of the reasons why I felt the need to create that space where the dragons can convene, which is not for us, but purely for them. So they can share experience, exchange amongst themselves, and whatever is necessary and is needed for us as the humans they guide, please bring it back. And if any of you gets a direct message back to you, I would be very interested to hear. That is not something that I usually am not someone who receives it like that. But if any of you does, or anyone that's watching the replay, please share. Robert.
Yes.
You wanted to say something and then Paul and I got in your way. Sorry.
No, don't worry. I was going to say that, you know, rituals can be as simple as looking up at the sun, feeling its warmth, and getting that energy, or looking up at the full moon and receiving her energy. Yes, I've held many high magic rituals in my life. I think that there's a place for that. That's high magic. I don't like the term low magic because it sounds like inferior. Simple magic. If you want to find out if your dragon is around you, the easiest way to do that is to light a candle, gaze into it. If you see a dragon emerging in the flame, Fafnir is there with you. If the candle wax melts in a way that forms dragon horns, scales, you know the Grail is there. If the liquid part, if you see a dragon there, you know Nailjan is there. And my favorite, I don't believe in snuffing out a candle. I think that you want to blow the candle out with your breath, which is energy. Which, and first let me say this. We are all taught at 1 year old to blow out a candle. All of us. Happy birthday. Make a wish, blow out the candle. What is the significance of that? When you blow out the candle, if you see a dragon emerging in the smoke and flying up into the stratosphere, Ceres is there. Scrying into the elements, into the world is very important to locate your dragons if you are having a hard time finding them. Let them materialize within the physical properties that surround you. Paul, I'd like to ask you, because you live in the desert and I live in the California desert. Are the rock dragons, the desert dragons, materializing for you within the geography of your environment?
Actually, yes, but not here in Phoenix. There are some out here I don't communicate with because it's one of those, it's just not a mutual arrangement. But I have property in New Mexico, which has some very powerful energy portals. And there are dragons out there that have embedded themselves and are communicating with me. It's interesting too, but one of my male dragons has united with Naga, and they produced an egg which is still developing on the site where we're going to build, and that one will come when our house is up and will actually be a guide of that area. So, and there are others that are present there now. I have one that's right now riding shotgun until this new one is hatched. So there are very strong presences there, and I have communicated with them. Of course, it's stronger when I'm out there physically.
Sure.
So, and as everybody knows, dragons are everywhere. If you're open to them, and again, it's this invitation, Robert, and it's the permission, and it's the conversing. And if they're interested, they'll show up. If they're not, they won't.
Yeah. When I see dragons, or when I feel, mostly feeling, when I feel the energy there, whether it's in the clouds or in the water, or when I see a certain composition within nature, or whether I'm traveling astrally, I tend to just acknowledge that they're there. Just say, I don't have to, they don't have to communicate with me, I don't have to communicate with them, but I acknowledge that they're there, as in, hey, I see you. And that I often find that then I get a feeling back, because feeling things is one of my strong suits. Then I just get a feeling of in, oh, hey, yeah, hi, and then we're good to go again. And I personally love that, because that stimulates the fact that I never feel alone anymore. I used to, as a younger child, I know I'm only 36, and I've just done a retreat where I was the youngest one. And I thought, I will not be the youngest one again. I was. The oldest one was 70 and I was with 36, the youngest one. But I used to feel, when I was younger, I used to feel alone. As a starseed, I had trouble grounding here. felt a bit alien within my family. I used to feel alone a lot and lonely as well.
Me too.
But now that I've discovered this side of myself, now that I am more conscious, then it doesn't even mean that I have to communicate with my spirit guides or that I have to see them or hear them. But I just now have this sense that I am never alone anymore. And that is I find that extremely comforting, which then makes me somehow braver as well, because it gives me more zest of life to go out there and do what I really want and do what I feel like I'm here to do. So it's really, it can be in the little things, Robert, like what you said with you don't have to do a whole ritual. It's just, it's the little things often that make the biggest change. At least that's how I experience it. Kevin, do we have any other questions in the group chat?
So look through. There's just lots of people agreeing. Chara asks again, how do you see your dragons with your physical eyes? And I think we already answered that. I mean, for me, I've only seen one dragon in my whole life with my physical eyes, and that was the first dragon I physically saw. Apart from that, I'm a bit like you. I see them when I'm in alternative realities, and I'm seeing them with my free spirit, my soul, my third eye. I think, for me, the dragons have said to me, it's hard for them to physically be in our reality. They're more ethereal, they're more spirit, they're more energy than physical. And if they did appear physically all the time, then probably certain people would be trying to kill them and capture them and all the rest of it. So that's my experience anyway. So, I mean,
Yeah.
got experience, Robert, and anyone else?
I think it's important, how do you see dragons? Through scrying. I see, Paul had said here, I see dragons in the clouds. Yeah, that's where they are. They're, the Celtic god of the forest, Cernunnos. You see him in trees all the time. You see him, peering out through foliage and brush. That's another dimension that you need to train your third eye to see. Now, I look up into the mountains that are right outside, here, and I see the dragons of the mountains, the rock dragons, the earth dragons. Piece together. Don't look at a tableau and try to find the dragon. Look at the tableau as a whole and let the dragon materialize from your vision. That is key to finding where they are, where they exist. They're in water, they're in air, they're on earth, and they are in fire. Those are the four elements. And when you have witnessed all of those elements, you know that you yourself have accepted the dragons into your spirit. Because that really is the fifth element, spirit.
I spoke before my turn, but yes, spirit. Yeah, for me, I've been getting symbols as well with the 5 elements. So it's not just, for me, it's really not just 4, it's properly 5. And funnily enough, the 5th element, for me, the elements often come together with a power animal, which represents that element and that energy as well. And the element spirit is always portrayed with dragons. So it's always one of either the dragons that is surrounding me that is there, or one of my personal guides takes up that spot. and not just claims it. That's just purely claiming it. That's theirs. So yeah, but for me, it's 5 elements.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to comment on Paul's statement about protection. At one time, Isis, the Egyptian goddess Isis, in a transcendental state, came to me through a kaleidoscope of color and handed me an ankh. And my mentor at the time, I asked, what did that mean? And she told me that Isis gave me the key to the Nile. And she wrapped her wings around me as protection. Envision your dragon wrapping his or her wings around you to protect you from harm, from anything that is not correct for you. You can also create a crystal dragon egg and place yourself in it. And once you do that, you say it is done. You now exist in a shield that you are envisioning as a faceted dragon egg that will deflect any harm. No Excalibur is going to come through it. That's a way to protect your energy and allow, incorrect energy to stay out. So that's another gift that the dragons give us. The ability to protect ourselves with their knowledge, their energy, and their wisdom.
Yeah. Absolutely true. Robert, not to sidestep you here, but I see in my side view that Kara, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. That you feel that your mind is telling you that we are all crazy, but that you know that this is right and this is where we belong. Yes. Yes. And welcome.
It's nice to be here.
Nice to have you.
Did I pronounce your name correctly? Kara.
It's Jara.
Jara.
Yes.
Yes. Well, welcome. And yes, I can understand that your rational mind, your ego is like, nah, this is not happening. This is not right. But feel, hear, and welcome. Wrap yourself around in it, embrace it, and enjoy it. Because again, for me, that's what dragons, and especially as this meeting started out with the young ones, the babies, the joy, the unadulterated pleasure of going on a joyride, of doing what makes your soul sing. Yes, they are absolutely here for it. And they would love it if we all do that a bit more often.
I'd like to say, in case anybody has any type of hesitancy, trepidation about venturing onto a new path, I'm Italian American. I was born and raised Roman Catholic. I was an altar boy. I experienced, being on a Catholic altar, helping with communion. I was baptized. I had my first Holy Communion. I had confirmation. I've even had the sacrament of marriage. When my spirituality transformed and that transformation happened within me, I did not feel that I was abandoning Catholicism. I used it as a jumping point into a new me, a new level of educating myself in a way that is probably much more relatable to, the New Testament, even though honestly I've never read it, but that's the truth. But don't feel that you should have guilt by taking on new beliefs. What you are doing is you are educating yourself in a new direction. You can carry that belief system with you. The concepts that you have learned change, and the pieces of the puzzle start to fit together, and you realize, oh, I learned that, but you know what? That lesson led me to this, and now this is something that I believe. So view it as a springboard. Dragons are synonymous with angels. They're synonymous with gnomes, sylphs, even demons. That's that is a legitimate path. I've known many Satanists in my lifetime. It's not about, that's a Christian concept. Again, it's the balance between light and dark. Dark, I think it's very important for all of us to be in the dark. How can you see the light? How can you know what light is if you have not been in the dark?
But light can't exist without the dark. So
Exactly.
again, it's the whole balance thing, yin yang.
Exactly.
Well, one cannot be there without the other.
Exactly. And if you stay in the light all the time, when something does start to turn a little gray, you can't handle it. You can't. And again, varying degrees of light and dark are, everyone's going to have their range. Allow yourself to explore. And if you feel that you need protection with a dragon, ask a dragon to follow you into the darkness.
Oh, they are already there. There are ones that are already there that
Sure.
holding that space for you.
Sure. Have a light dragon say, you know what? I've never been in the dark. I've never met a dark dragon. Can you introduce me?
It's also fun when you just ask one to come up or to come down and to also give them the experience of experiencing something different, a different frequency, a different environment.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question, I believe, from Gara. No, sorry, I'm butchering. I'll just shut up.
It's Hara, but it's okay. In shamanism, I'm taught that evil exists only in the hearts of people. So it's difficult for me to understand the concept of dark energy and the two opposites, the two polarities. So I cannot understand the fighting concept in the universe and the dragons as fighters. I do not have an experience like that yet.
Okay, I'd like just to comment on that, and perhaps this can give you a good analogy. View the darker dragons as warrior dragons. Okay, when here on Earth, when we think of, bad people, we think of, murderers, terrorists, criminals. Now, that is from our limited perspective of what we deem as, oh, those are dark people, those are evil people. Some people may view that group as, you know, they're warriors, they're fighters, they're this, they're that. Think of the dragons that are in the darker realms as warrior dragons. They are fighters. Some might fight for different reasons. Some may be just not for the good of all. Others might. Just like we are. There are some people that live in this world that are only for themselves. And there are others who exist for the good of all. Don't think of the dragons as physical beings, even though at one time I do believe that they did physically exist on this earth, but all the magical creatures kind of went behind the veil. And they live on an alternate plane that we are not able to see all the time. If you enter into a dark cave, of course you're going to be somewhat concerned. What are you going to meet on the inside? Are there snakes? Are you going to meet a ferocious lion? Are you going to meet something that is otherworldly? Take that journey. The most frightening thing in the forest at night, it's not the owl, it's not the wolf, it's not the bear, it's not the snake, it's you. You are. That's your bravery. Step forth into uncharted territory. Be an adventurer. Discover. Discover your strengths. Discover your weaknesses. When you allow yourself to venture forth into an area, into a dimension that is unfamiliar, if you turn around and walk, you're never going to go back.
Because that's
Be
the
the
past,
adventurer.
and the
Be the
past is not the present.
Correct. You know, when Snow White ran away from the castle and she went through the haunted forest and she was scared to death, what did she find? She found her forest animal friends to guide her to a lovely little cottage in the woods.
Full of strangers we had never met
Well,
before.
strangers. Well,
Who
you know,
didn't
7
turn
men.
out to be mass murderers,
Exactly.
who turned out to be
Exactly.
lovely people looking differently than hers.
Exactly. Gnomes. It's a fairy tale, but the lesson of that fairy tale exists in our culture, and it is truth. There's a lesson to be learned in that. Venture forth into what you fear. Pass through it.
And give yourself grace throughout that entire journey. And that is the lesson that my dragons have given me. Play with it. I used to take everything extremely serious. Life or death. Extremely serious. That's how it felt for me, because that was the fear that I was familiar with, that I held on to, which became my world. And which meant that I was getting teased by my family, as in, you're so predictable and you never try something new and you always do the same thing, which was true, because I was scared to make mistakes, scared to not know, scared of basically everything, and taking it way too seriously, that if I didn't know the answer, if I would make a mistake, then it was the end of the road for me. That's not true. I've learned that's not true. And I'm happy that I've learned that. And I had to learn throughout my process that I should give myself grace and not judge myself so harshly. I give grace to everyone else, but I wasn't giving it to me. So I was judging myself with the weight of 1,000 mountains, whereas everybody else got feathers.
Mhm.
And that is a process that I had to go through for myself, and I've made choices in that. And I've had each of my lovely ones there with me to mirror and reflect things that came up for me. And they've taught me to not take it that seriously, to play around with it, to have fun, and to fall flat on my face, if need be. But they are always there to catch me. I've literally had moments where I was scared to death and I didn't want to, and I didn't know how. I didn't know how and I didn't want to, and oh, my mind was giving me crap. And I could see in another realm, in my energetic experience, whether it's astral traveling or meditation, that they were guiding me towards this lovely cliff. I didn't know it was a cliff until there was this point where they were a bit done with me. Oh, I can't do this. I want to, but I can't do it. And they just shoved me off. They just shoved me off the cliff. But they were flying on the other side. And I didn't need their safety net, but they were there. And I could see them. And I can tell you, I cursed everyone out at that point. And I could do so very loudly. I cursed everyone out. But at the same time, that free fall felt exhilarating as well. And it learned me to play around with it. And sometimes that looks like 10 steps forward and only 1 step back. Sometimes that looks like 1 step forward and 10 steps back. But with Robert's analogy, if you venture out and if you try, then the past is the past and the present is where you are right now, with who you are right now. And I've found that the dragons I meet are extremely forgiving and extremely loving. For me, the only thing is there that they want me to be honest with myself. So that's my challenge in this lifetime, to keep myself honest. As long as I do that, they are happy with whatever I choose to do, with whatever I choose to say. Then they're good. Then we are good.
To coin a phrase from current pop culture, defy gravity, because the dragons do.
Yeah.
There are messages all around us. Why do you think that on social media everyone is Alphaba and Galinda singing Defying Gravity? It's a battle cry.
Yeah.
And it's a message. People are saying, I'm going to lift myself up from this earthbound prison, and I'm going to spread my wings and I'm going to fly. That's what a dragon does.
And they do it so well.
Yes.
And they enjoy it so much.
Yes.
Yes. Kevin, what time is it by now? Am I looking at it correctly? And have 2 hours passed already?
Yes, ma'am.
Time doesn't exist, so. But yeah, in this reality, the clock.
Time is man-made concept.
I agree with you. Time is circular and it doesn't exist. It's definitely not linear, but my bladder does have a different opinion about it. I will have to be honest about that. So from me, because I do think that I should wrap it up in a bit, does anyone have a question still that they would like my input on, or specifically for me? Nope.
Well, I would just like to say that I've thoroughly enjoyed your presence, your energy, sharing your experience, and I look forward to our next meeting.
Same. I've enjoyed this very much. Yes. And I've shared the Google Drive link to the song Spread Your Wings and Fly in the comments. If we can't find a different way, this will also be shared when the replay is available. So it will be there for those who want to download it and possibly listen to it again.
I'd also just like to say before Evita goes, like spirits find one another.
True.
It's
Yes.
very simple, but we do. Like spirits find one another.
And if we look at all the means that we have in today's world, then it's only such a small world, and it makes it easier to find each other, whether in spirit, whether digitally, or in real life.
Earth is a pebble in the scheme of things.
Kinda is. It kind of just like a grain of salt.
It's a grain of salt. What worries me is if we can see them up there larger than they can see us. It's like
And
one of those
we all made
boxes
the
that
choice to
people-
come down here.
Yeah, it's like those boxes that, oh, there's a box inside. Oh, there's a box inside. There's a box inside.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. But if there are no other questions for me, then I am going to call it a night. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so very much for all that you've shared. I absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.